I'm saying record. Okay, so this is the Central Florida Computer Society main meeting on the second Sunday of every month. Stan Wallner, our president, and Mike Ungerman, I'm just a casual passerby. And the question that had been asked was, is there a benefit to going to the new DOCSIS 3.1 modems or / modem router? I actually have a Netgear modem, and then I have my own router. And I just told Spectrum that I did not want to use their equipment. And the 3.1 standard allows speeds, I think it's up to a gigabyte, if I remember correctly. Somebody else that's online might be able to correct me, but I know it does at least 500 megabits. And yes, it has higher security standards as well, although that wasn't the reason that I went and changed it out. I just needed to replace mine, which had decided to die at that time. Okay, so I guess what we want to do then, do you have some announcements to make to the audience anyway? You guys see you've got a list over there.
Yes, I do. It's nice to see some people who haven't been here for a while. Nancy McGill, who just had a question. Elaine Carlisle, good to see you. It's been a while. And also, Graham Cook, who hasn't been with us for, man, it's must have been a couple of years. So good to see you.
And Carmela's here too.
And, sorry?
Can you see Carmela?
Oh, okay. I didn't pick that up at all. And good to see Ted online. Hope you're feeling somewhat better. And
Jerry Minich has joined us with his camera. Anyone else that's online who has got a camera and wants to join in, go ahead and turn your camera on now, because we're not part of my meeting, and let's go ahead and fill up the screen.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I did make the announcement about the people who haven't seen in a while. I guess the other announcements that I have is that the seems like we get a lot going on. The board of directors meeting is this coming Thursday at 7 o'clock at Denny's. We have the ISIG meeting is Monday the 18th, and this is one of those months where the third Monday is the week after the third Thursday because of the start of the month. And well, we're going to do some Ask It Basket. We have door prizes, and do we have any questions from the group here in the room? I see that nobody filled out any of the Ask It Basket questions. Phil, welcome.
This is wide open, so any questions you've got, hardware?
Okay, can I start with one that I posted in the TechSig today?
Go ahead.
Let me go ahead and share my screen if I can figure out how to do it here. Down here. Hang on a second. I'm going to share my screen and do this.
Oh, good.
And minimize this, and I'll bring up and minimize this. And I want to bring up. Okay, this is what I got. Either there's no default mail client or the current mail client cannot fulfill the messaging request. Please run Microsoft Outlook and set it as the default mail client. I have no idea where that's coming from.
Arvin did answer, I think.
Somebody answered and said there's a program out there that they thought might be in Cisternals that might tell me where it is. Let me go ahead and unshare. We'll get back here. I remember seeing some kind of a program or something. It's one of the management utilities from Microsoft. Maybe it was Cisternals or something that you could, if you had an error message, you could figure out what was generating it. And I don't know.
And obviously you've Googled that particular question.
Yeah, and
Back 'em.
some of them said, uninstall Office and come back. Everything's working okay in Outlook. It's working fine. I don't, and maybe something isn't working that I don't know about. But as far as I have 28 or 29 different email addresses that go into Outlook, and so I don't know whether it's the Outlook address that's the problem. I recall seeing that once before, and it was something in Snagit was causing it, and I never did get it resolved, but the message went away, and I never saw it again. And I think it was an update to it. So I don't know whether there was an update to a program that's causing that, whether it's a Windows issue, whether it's an Office issue. It's one of those things. And for those of you who are really scratching your head saying, boy, you're way over my head, just understand that things happen to us too that have some knowledge. And so don't feel when you get puzzled by an error message or you get puzzled by a problem with your computer, that it's not just you. The rest of us go through the same things. And that's why we have user groups, so we can share the problems and the anguish and the pain, and try to help each other if we can. If not, we kind of console each other.
Well, in today's social media connected age, there's so much available now. YouTube, you can find videos on just about almost everything. The comment about the shutdown, Joe Thios, I think was the video?
Theo Joe.
Theo Joe. I was looking for something else, and that just popped up, and I saw that, and that's what I shared with you. And I said, I just learned an awful lot about Windows 10 and shutdown and startup that I never knew before. And especially if you're doing those kinds of browsing and you go to YouTube, subscribe as they request you do, because many of them are monetizing it, and you'll get notices of the new things that come up. And I also have YouTube on my Roku, and I found that I'm actually watching more YouTube content these days than I am regular TV shows, just because there's a lot of things that I prefer to watch, and the algorithms that YouTube uses to see what you like based on the videos that you actually watch, and then they recommend things you subscribe to, obviously, but they also recommend things that are associated with what you subscribe. So I've been getting all kinds of stuff. I'll go in sometimes and watch 2-3 hours of stuff on YouTube instead of a TV program. So just, yep. Oh, Joe Thios, was that Joe Thios?
It's Thiojoe.
Oh, Thio Joe. Okay.
Yeah, I think
Repeat
that
one more time,
I think his
Huey.
name is Joe Thio.
Yeah.
Hi, Bill. You got to unmute your mic now.
Okay. Well, no, Bill's in the audience now.
No, there's a Bill Morgan online.
All right. I'm going to turn this to the audience. So.
We don't hear you, Bill. Bill Morgan. Bill
Okay.
Morgan, hang on a second. Let me unmute you. All right, Bill, try talking now.
Okay, can you hear me now, Ron?
Yes, we can. Yes.
Howie?
Huey.
Huey. Yes, okay, just got my camera working.
And there's a question from the audience there, and
the question had to do with Thio Joe. I'll go ahead on the, we have for those that aren't aware, we have a repeater Google group for our technical SIG, and it's sort of, everybody in the computer society gets it anyway. So I'll put the link that you had to his videos, plus I know they'll be in your show notes as well.
Okay, good. Nice seeing some I don't want to say old faces. Nice seeing some familiar faces that I haven't seen in several years in the audience. So, and online. So this is fun. We get to talk to people all over the country. For those of you in the audience in Castleberry, you're seeing Jerry Minich, who's up in Michigan, who is based also in the Ocala area. Myself, of course, I'm in Bradenton, Florida, and then Bill Morgan's in West Palm Beach.
Well, I will say that over the past, I guess it's been a month now, I've been going to our technical SIG, our tech SIG, on a regular basis, and I thought, hey, you know, this would be a great idea just to go ahead and stream it. So my first attempt at it was just to pull a webcam off the back of one of my monitors, tape it to a tripod, and I went online with Amazon and I searched on USB microphones and found one and brought it to the TechSig. So those of you that were there basically may recall that we did stream it. And then I said, there's got to be a better way, get better video, get better sound. And that started research again on Amazon. And my first attempt was to find a camcorder that would act as a webcam. And if you stay under $100 and you don't hit the professional stuff, you're probably going to find 40 or 50 of them listed. And they're all Chinese made or Korean made, whichever country of origin is out there just filling the market up with these things. But you find out very quickly that not all of them have the features necessary to act as a webcam. In fact, even the one I'm using now, once you go into the webcam mode, there's no zoom and there's no focus. So you get whatever the lens sees, just as if it were a webcam sitting on top of your computer. But I have noticed that the video quality is much better than what we had when we used the Microsoft webcam the last time. And then we started playing with microphones. I'm presently holding a USB wireless, which has a little dongle that goes on the side of the computer and is recognized by the computer as an audio input device. I see that they've upgraded the frequency on this. It's now up in the very high UHF range, which gives you probably, I would think, a 25 or 30 foot range if it's open. I don't think it will go through walls, but it's enough for a meeting space that you can walk around and get fairly good sound. But you have to have it about the distance that I have it, which is about 3 inches from my mouth. And if I move it away, I'm sure right now it's going to start fading. So it probably faded away.
It did.
But at the same time, I found another microphone that does extremely well with a unidirectional pattern. Again, up to about 25 or 30 feet. And that's what we used for the TechSig the last time. So in an environment, we've got a lot of people talking, and we have a few of those talking at the same time at the TechSig. So I will probably use that microphone at our next TechSig, and we will try broadcasting. I'm thinking of using, if we can go ahead and use Zoom, of doing the first half on Zoom. And then I researched and set up a license or an access with YouTube to do live streaming. And they don't grant those easily. You've got to go on, you got supply credentials, you've got a 24-hour waiting period. I don't know what they're checking over that waiting period. I guess that's just to keep people from just jumping on, streaming something and jumping off. And the YouTube stream is not a two-way stream. It's not a multiple-way stream. It's just literally broadcasting a meeting. So we're going to try that as well at our TechSig, and I'm going to offer the same services to our iSig and see if we can, that'll basically put all of our meetings online and give people the opportunity to tune in and see them. But it's been a fun experiment, and Huey and I have been playing games back and forth, I've tried it with my Chromebook. I've tried it with a small Ultrabook that's now going on about 8 years old that I just put Windows 10 on. And today, with no real preparation, I just crossed my fingers and plugged it into the club's computer and went to the audio panel settings, and it works. Although we did see once Zoom started, we weren't able to change anything. So Zoom still requires you to go out of the meeting, make your changes, and then come back in. at this end anyway.
Yeah, I know. I'm just looking at the list of people who are online. Dave Williams, who's president of APCUG. There are a lot of groups that are interested in doing and maybe doing what we're doing. I know Marshall, Sarasota group has talked about maybe doing some kind of streaming meetings or something like that. And Mike and I started doing this back in the 1990, 95, 97.
Oh, yeah.
One of the
Very
APC,
rudimentary.
one of the Florida Association meetings in Zephyr Hills.
Yeah.
We recorded some of the sessions, and we used a camera from the audience and tried to pick up the microphone. And at that time, bandwidth it didn't exist. We tried recording it and sending it, and it was horrible. But it was fun, and we played with it and tried all different things. We had a video camera using FireWire connected to a computer and for some meetings, and then recorded and tried to streaming. I think one time we even got a radio station mixed in with the audio because their transmitter was somewhere close to where we were. So it's a lot of fun, and it's but interesting. And we were in on some of the ground floor of some of this, and it's really progressed a lot. And by the way, those of you who are in the audience, if you're only seeing one picture, at the top it should say gallery of your screen, or it says speaker view. If you're in speaker view, if you click on gallery, you'll see 4 pictures. If you see in speaker view, you'll see whoever is speaking in the center, and you may see some smaller pictures of the others. So as the audience, you can change that on your computer. And then if you're seeing a lot of boxes with no pictures, just a simulation of somebody there, there's a setting in there you can say if there's no video, don't show it. So just to let you know, so those of you can fool around with your own computer as well.
Technology has come a ways, but we're still, sometimes you wind up struggling just to try to put it all together. My first microphone was wireless, but the dongle terminated in a phono jack. And the phono jack, when plugged into the computer, was not recognized, and I couldn't get the audio to work. So that's why I changed to this USB plug dongle, and that worked, but I can only do one microphone at a time. And what I'd really like to have is 2 USB microphones, one for the room and one for the speaker. And that tells me I need a USB mixer. And so far, at least looking on Amazon at stuff that's $100 and less, the only thing I've found is one that seems to be what I'm looking for, but sending the distributor questions, they don't answer them. So it's $24.95. I may just go ahead and try it and see if I can actually do it. But ideally, one camera with 2 microphones works for a meeting very well, because then the speaker can speak directly, and then the room audio can be picked up by the other one. Okay, for the people in Castleberry, put on your thinking caps. You got to have a problem that you need some assistance with, or something you've done recently. Okay, I'm going to walk over here. We'll put you on camera too. Okay.
Hi, Huey. This is Nancy McGill. I have a question. I don't know how to pay my ATT bill, which is sent to my iPhone, without using my PC as well. And the reason is that I only have Safari on the iPhone, and so they send me a code, and they say, before we let you pay the bill, you have to prove it's you, so we'll send you the code. But I have to go into a separate browser to get the code. So right now, the only way I know how to pay the bill is to put the iPhone beside the PC and tell them I want to pay the bill. And then they send the code, and I open it on the PC, like in Internet Explorer or something else. Is there a way to pay the bill just from the phone? I don't know how to do it.
It's the bill for what?
For my phone, my AT&T monthly bill on my phone.
Oh, AT&T. Okay, I didn't. That
They have to. They say that they won't let me pay the bill unless they know it's me. So they have to send me a code. But if I go in to get the code, then I can't. Yeah. So I don't know how to do it just from the phone.
Jerry, can you help her with that? You're muted.
I can only chew gum and talk at the same time. If you double click your phone home button, it'll take you to multitasking, i.e. a show of all the apps that you have open on your phone, and then you can select the one to pay your bill. Just go back and forth. Does that help?
So what Jared, she's looking at her phone now. You have to, yeah, okay. And then double click it now to see if there's more than one screen. No, you don't have more than one app open at a time. But it looks like when they send you, say they're sending you the code, are they sending it to a text message?
Yes.
So she would have a text message app open, and she would have the app open for payment.
Right.
Just switch between them, right? Yeah, so open two apps, just have, okay. Then now you go back to the desktop. Now open something else up. Okay, now if you double click, you'll see both of them. Try again. There you go. They're side by side. And then you just scroll left or right and pick the one you want. So with
Right,
both of them open.
You just touch the one you want and it opens.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
So multitasking on an iPhone.
Right.
Yeah. And they didn't have that for a while, did they? Isn't that something that's fairly recent?
I don't think so. I think it's been around a while.
Has it?
9 or 10, iOS 9 or 10. It's been around for a while, but it's very handy. Very handy.
For those of you
clear off one at a time that I'm aware of.
Another thing, talking about multitasking, for some of you who don't get my newsletter, I didn't write it. I posted a message about the Alt tab on Windows. And if you're not familiar with the Alt tab, that will move you. If you've got several things open, you can move from one to another by holding the Alt key down, hitting tab, and it'll keep changing the various windows you have open. Now, you can do that if you've got a Chromebook. It also works in Chromebook. And the article also went on to talk about some other things that you can do with that. You can do some other things with that Alt tab as well. So by all means, read the article. If you don't subscribe, go ahead and subscribe, and then also send me a note, and I will send you a copy of that article. Or actually, I'll send you a copy of the newsletter.
Okay, and you were saying that you can only close one app at a time. Is that on an iPhone?
When you double click, you bring up all the apps that are working, and in order to clear all that off, you have to do them. The only way to do it is one at a time.
To actually shut the apps off.
Yeah, Jerry's saying that's correct. And Android, there's a close all button, and you can just hit that, and it'll close them all.
Yeah, so there is no, so we're saying that there isn't a close all like there is in Android. Okay.
I'm not sure I know where that close all is in Android.
Dan just said he's not sure where the close all is on an Android.
I don't have my thing to plug in my phone to show you, but when you've got three buttons at the bottom of your Android phone. Sometimes they're a hard button, sometimes it's a software button. The one in the center is like a home button. It shows you. The one on the left opens up your list of all of your open items, and there's at the bottom of that should be a close all.
Yeah, on mine, if I hit the square, right now I'm seeing one, whoops, went to all of them.
Yeah, it's the left-hand button.
Mine is on the right if I hit square. Now, I don't know if that's going to.
Yeah.
So
but-
now you can see I have all of the apps that are open on the Android phone.
No, actually, yeah, I think what you're showing is all of your browser windows.
And then, yes, but then when I go up to the very top, it says clear all. And I can just hit.
Yeah, I think that might just still be your browser. But there's 3 buttons at the bottom. One is a back button on the right. The one in the center is your apps.
Yeah, it won't focus, but that on the right-hand
Go back
side,
to
it says clear all.
Just click that and go to your home screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike, hit the middle button on your phone and go back to the home screen.
I am.
Okay, there's 3 buttons at the bottom, correct?
Correct.
Okay, the one on the left, click on it.
Okay.
And you should see everything that's open, and there should be a close all at the bottom of that.
Okay, mine's different. I have to go to the square and see all the windows of all the apps, and then Stan just looked at his, and his is the same way. Mine is a Nexus 6P. It is running the latest version of Android. And
But Android, the different companies do them different,
they do it different.
but it still should be similar. But I don't have my phone near me, and I don't know whether my cord will reach the phone or not. Yeah, I don't want to.
That's one of the reasons I like Apple.
Yeah.
We're looking at a Samsung tablet right now, and he doesn't have a close all. That's interesting. Okay. So different versions of Androids implemented by different manufacturers.
Yeah, let me, I got my
Android
phone.
SIG. we tried getting one of those started a number of years ago.
Okay, so let's see. Here's my phone, and I got to sign in first. Okay, and then what do I got open here? I'll close that. Okay. So I'm back to a home screen. Let's see if you can. Nah, my camera isn't worth it. It shows it as too much light, and the camera doesn't want to focus. If I get close enough, yeah, okay. There's 3 buttons at the bottom. Let's see. I'm in my holder here. Let me get it out of my holder. And I clicked on something here, so I got to close that first.
Now, if you're using your Chromebook, you could bring up one of your.
I am, but that's set up for
okay.
the next session that I got to do. So, okay. So I've got at the bottom.
Yes, one by one.
Come on. Okay. No, I can't get it to work. It won't. The light just won't work. But at the bottom, the very bottom, there's there's 3 buttons. The one in the middle is the home button. The one on the left is what you were talking about, and the right is the back button. And on my phone, it's software buttons, and on Robin's, it's hard. It's a hard button on the phone itself. I've got a Samsung S8 Plus. And then there's Marshall out there who's got a flip phone. So none of this bothers him.
Ted, who's got a landline.
Okay, you said you had a show and tell, Stan?
Can you put that?
Yeah, I'll get that up on there. I'll give you the microphone.
Okay. So this is not an ask it basket question. This is, can anybody identify what these pieces are from? Anybody got any idea?
Well, all we're seeing is the wire. Okay, now we're seeing. Okay, let's see.
It's shredded metal from a hard drive. For the super paranoid who don't want to just wipe it, but who want to shred the hard drive, that there's a place that has a machine that's almost the size of a car, and it takes about 3 minutes to grind up the hard drive into pieces like that. And they do large quantities for very sensitive, maybe even government companies that really are super paranoid about the security issue. I think if you wanted to have that done, it'd be in the $5 to $10 range. So if you do have something
That's still not bad.
it really isn't. There's another place also that I found that charges $15. And by the way, you get to watch both of these places if you want, or even take films of it to have as a record to make sure that everything is taken care of. But the one that charges $15 actually just punches holes through it. So I think from that standpoint, you could be almost as safe just putting it in your driveway and running over it with your car in terms of it not being able to be used again.
I haven't looked at it recently, but it looks to me like a. Just hold on a minute. I'll let them talk. Okay. It seems to me like the plate in a hard drive is very similar to a CD or a DVD drive. Yeah. And a few years ago, I demonstrated a little device that I bought because I had a lot of DVDs that I wanted to shred that had data on them. And so I picked up this thing and you just slide it in and it shreds it. It actually cuts it like a paper shredder. In fact, I noticed that some paper shredders now do that. They destroy a DVD. I don't know if you unscrewed a hard drive, if you took that little. Okay, then that wouldn't work because DVDs are plastic. Yeah, but there may be a way to do it. When I used to work at a company in Michigan, we had a metal shredder, and you could take because it was used to shred metal and then get it ready to smash up and melt into something else or whatever they did with it. I don't know, we bundled it up and sent it away. But so I know they exist, but I guess my theory wouldn't work. Although you could probably put it in a clamp on your workbench and just cut through it a few times, then nobody could get the data off it. Arvin, of course, wants to shoot it with a shotgun or something. He suggested that one time, or some other gun, whatever. That's it.
Yeah, I have a shredder that will shred DVDs and CDs, but boy, it sounds like it's taking its toll on the thing, and I don't think it would last very long if you did a lot of them. But when I was moving, I used to do all my backups on CDs for many years, so I had like huge boxes full of CDs with data on them, and that I did not want to just throw away, but I had hundreds of them. Well, I bought a machine, I think, from Amazon that actually puts dimples in it. You run it through it. It takes about 15 seconds. I think I even demonstrated at the TechSig way back then. And it puts dimples on this CD that it can't be read. And I just did hundreds of them, maybe 10 or 20 at a time, and it just and it worked out very well. But a hard drive platter is steel or is metal, and that wouldn't work for it.
Okay, I'm going to give you 30 seconds to talk, Huey. While modern technology, my microphone is blinking red at me and it wants to eat some new batteries. So
Okay, so I'll talk while you're changing the battery. That is a nice microphone he has. It is wireless. It has one dongle, but the dongle is fairly large, and he just plugs it into the PC and then changes that as the audio input. And that it doesn't need any kind of a box for it, a special mixer or anything. And I think he paid about, I think it was around $30, might have even been less. And there is a hard drive that Marshall just showed us with the metal platter. And it's definitely metal, and it's shiny. And then the arm is there. And you want to scratch the hell out of it, but you can put holes in. You can drill holes, and if you got a drill that will drill holes, but if somebody really wanted the data, there may be a way in which there's still data stored between the holes that I read in an article. So if you're super paranoid, that's not a good solution. But having the great big machine that will grind up all kinds of metal, including the whole hard drive, into little pieces, is probably the safest way if you're that paranoid.
There used to be.
I put a dozen holes.
You had a dozen holes?
That's what I put in. When I destroy them, I put a dozen holes in them.
Okay.
The dirty dozen.
There used to be a degausser. I remember that we used to use them for reel-to-reel tapes, and it was, fairly big, and just a coil of wire inside a plastic housing. You plugged it in.
I got one of them around here somewhere.
Yeah, and so I thought if you opened up a hard drive and then brought that near the head, or not the head, but the platter, that would erase it. But you're right, shredding it is certainly the way to go.
Or putting the holes in like Marshall does.
When I worked for the Army, we deployed computer systems overseas that might, when they were used, might have sensitive information on it. And there is a DoD standard for writing ones and zeros using software to wipe the data off the platters. But it can take hours, if not days. And there's a certain public figure that's known to have accomplished that on quite a few emails. So software is out there, but certainly the way to get rid of stuff is to grind those platters up.
I think we're referring to Hillary Clinton.
Well, I didn't want to.
No politics here, guys.
No politics. Hang on.
A number of years ago, a scrap dealer bought at a government auction 100 or so computers from the federal government or from, I forget what the agency was.
We can barely hear you, Bob.
Okay. Am I too far away from, or was the battery changed? Closer. Oh, okay. You can hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So I was saying a few years ago, I remember the story quite well because I used to buy stuff from government auctions. I bought photographic equipment. But anyway, this person bought, I think it was 100 government computers, and then they were all supposed to be wiped. But one of them had the witness protection list of the names and addresses of everybody and what their new name and address was, presumably from the FBI or somebody, and which, sounds, interesting. When I taught school a few years ago in Orlando, in fact, the FBI donated some computers to my school, and they actually physically removed the hard drives, and I had to put new hard drives in them. So they wouldn't even trust wiping them, I guess, or whatever. Maybe they learned their lesson from that witness protection fiasco. Anyway, end of story. Next.
Yeah, when I excuse me, when I did some of my presentations on ID theft, one of the things that my camera's doing funny things here. One of the things that I talked about was there's hard drives in copy machines, because when you copy something, it writes it to the hard drive and then takes it from the hard drive, and that way they can they can stack them, and so they can do a lot of documents at once, and then print the copies and print many copies without having to keep scanning it over and over again. They scan it once, and then from the hard drive take whatever the information is, and then print it on the 100 or 200 copies. Well, I think the machines now, they have a way in which they wipe themselves or they overwrite, but when people were buying old copy machines and getting the hard drives out, and you go to the Staples, you go anywhere, excuse me, you're borrowing somebody's printer, I'm sorry, copier, or not borrowing, but you're using somebody else's copy machine, or one in a business that has the hard drive in it, and you're copying your tax forms. And all that data is stored on that hard drive. And then they get rid of the copy machine and the hard drive goes with it. Somebody pulls those hard drives out, and that information may be on them. So you need to be careful where you use copiers.
I have a friend that I've been working with now for about 4 or 5 days. She's got a Lenovo notebook, and it has a 3-year extended service policy on it. Came with 2 years that she bought, and then she bought another year. And her screen started failing, and so she called the problem into the tech for the screen. Tech came out, replaced some things, still had problems, but he ran a test on the hard drive while he was there, and it had a number of the smart hard drive monitoring errors, and said, "Oh, I'm going to have to replace your hard drive. I'll come back because I didn't bring any with me." So she was discussing with me what her options were, and the first obviously was to make an image backup so she could restore it on the new hard drive when it came out. And I said to her, what you want to do is run one of the utilities, and I gave her a couple. I said that will actually wipe out the data, writing the ones and zeros. Just be ready to do it for a couple of days before he comes. She said, I can't do that because I have to have access to the computer. I use Quicken. It's got all my finance on there. I've got spreadsheets that have things on there. Even though they're backed up, and I know they're backed up, and I think she uses Carbonite as well, I just don't want to not use the computer until he comes and replaces the hard drive. So I said, well, since it's a technician that's coming, he will most likely have the tools necessary to take the cover off the hard drive. And at least have him, if he's going to take it out of the notebook, put a new one in, at least have him open up the cover, grab a tool that will scratch the surface of, and it's being a notebook, I don't know how many platters it would have, but I'm thinking one, but these days it might be more than one. But, to scratch the platters so that you just can't casually read what's on there. And if he'll allow you to do it, even break one of the heads off, and then put the screws back in, and then he can take his hard drive back and just turn it into Lenovo. But you've got to do some kind of protection if you've got sensitive data and you're just taking it in and getting stuff replaced. And I'm sure there are people that do this all the time, and then there's other people that are harvesting that data. Any other questions, comments? Okay, I'm bringing the mic to the, oh, well. From the audience, the suggestion is to have a Chromebook and use a Chromebook for your accounts and use nothing else but a Chromebook for your accounts, since there's nothing else on the Chromebook. So my initial answer to that is, if you're doing online banking, that's a good idea. if you are addicted to Quicken, as I'm addicted to Quicken, even though they've now, with their new model of business model, Quicken has now got the ability to access some of your data online, but you still can't run the program 100% online. So I'm hooked on my Windows machine because I have to run Quicken because I've had it for so many years and all my stuff is in there. And I could switch to QuickBooks because QuickBooks has a 100% online model, but I didn't particularly want to switch in the middle going from Quicken to QuickBooks, but I'm thinking that's maybe what I'm going to have to do. But yes, for online access or for spreadsheets, things like that, and just use the Chromebook for it, that's not a bad idea.
Mike, I'm going to switch over and make you the host.
Okay.
And then I'm going to leave because I've got to join the other meeting, and it's already in progress. And I see I've got it on my Chromebook, and there's a bunch of people on already. So
Okay.
I'm going to make you host, and then I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. I enjoyed it. I hope those online got something out of it. Drop us a note if there's anything that you comments about this and how it worked. And Mike, thank you for all your work. And I'm going to switch over, make you host.
And we're just about done anyway, I think.
Okay,
We're
I
close.
just made you host.
I'd like to say thank you to you, Huey. Thank you for your efforts on this. Very interesting and informative as always. And a quick question. Jerry Minich, I see, has gone. Is he up
No,
north?
he's still on.
Oh, he is. I thought, well, his picture is no longer there. Yes, he is too. Okay. Are you up north or are you still in Florida?
No, right now I'm in Lincoln, Michigan, population 391.
Wow.
And I'll be home around the 20th of October. So I want to come back over and do another presentation for you guys.
Excellent. But not September. That was part of why I was asking. Okay. Thank you very much. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, all you guys. It's wonderful.
Terrific. Thank you.
Anyone online have any issues or things they'd like to bring up to our audience here? Topics of interest, things you're focusing on?
There seems to be a lot of questions lately about people who are still running Windows 7 and what they're going to do to get to Windows 10. And so my suggestion to people is go online and ask the question, and Microsoft has some good shots at that and exactly what you should do, etc. If you have additional questions, you can get a hold of me or Huey, and we'll try to help you out.
Do we, has Microsoft published a target date for dropping support for Windows 7?
Yes, sir. The target date is the 14th of January, 2020.
So it's coming up.
Yep.
Although like XP, if somebody still has XP on a machine, they're not getting updates anymore, but it still runs.
Sure. You
know.
can continue to run Windows 7 all you want. And I don't think the day after, I don't think on the 15th of January, 1,001 hackers are going to jump on your computer. But over time, then the security of your computer starts to degrade if you're still running Windows 7. And over time, you're going to get some kind of virus infection.
Yep.
Because you have no protection.
Our speaker today was Mike Hernandez, who is scheduled to come in and talk about Malwarebytes. Over the years, I was one of the original beta testers of the original Malwarebytes when it came out. The idea was that they came up with a scanner. At that time, it was a scanner, not a monitor. And it would scan your computer regardless of the antivirus you had installed and look for malware, which is why they called it Malwarebytes, that might reside on the computer that an antivirus wouldn't pick up. And then over the years, the malware that could be put on your computer got smarter and smarter. And they developed all kinds of algorithms that would use heuristics to try to detect the pattern of activity that malware would use. And they developed quite an organization that monitors worldwide the malware that is issued. They do keep a blog on their website. So if you actually go to malwarebytes.com and look for their blog, there's a lot of interesting things in that blog. And I remember reading an article that they posted where they actually tracked down a Malwarebytes author to a particular building in Turkey. And they were able to give the authorities that address of the building while he was online doing things. And they actually went in and busted him, arrested him, and confiscated a lot of stuff. So from what that company is doing, I like them. I've been using their products. I do have a subscription to it. And Stan and I have had a number of discussions because there have been issues with computers that have Malwarebytes on it that would develop situations like not booting or not running programs properly. And the only way you could solve it was by shutting Malwarebytes down, actually uninstalling it, reloading, doing your normal virus scan, and many people would then continue on. I took one more step when something like that happened, and I would reinstall Malwarebytes, and things seemed to be okay. So that was one of the questions I wanted to ask Mike while he was here is, you know, what diagnostics have they been focusing on to try to improve Malwarebytes from interfering with the operation of Windows 10 and its programs?
It was the updates that caused that issue.
I just didn't know if either of the two of you that are on with us had run into problems like that with Malwarebytes or not. Jer, or in back, stay here. Yeah.
Very recently, all of a sudden it's come up with stating that your Windows program is illegal.
Okay, so we've got a member in the audience that has had that problem with his laptop, and it's come up with a message running Windows 7, and it's come up and said your version of Windows 7 is illegal. Yeah, so something has corrupted the license, something along those lines. That would be my recommendation: is uninstall Malwarebytes. And you might consider disconnecting it from the internet at the time that you do that, and then reboot, see if you still get that. And then, do you have a Windows 7 rescue disk by any chance? Okay, so make a Windows 7 rescue disk and boot from it, which will look, you know, if there's any problems with Windows itself, it'll look for some problems. And if that solves the problem, then put it back on, put the latest copy back on. If not, come back here when Mike's here and we'll ask that question.
Okay. Let me mention something here.
Yes.
Okay. Microsoft says that starting in late 2019, they are going to be sending text messages or screen pop-ups, I should say, screen pop-ups on Windows 7 computers, reminding people that, you know, support is over on the 14th of January 2020. And hopefully that will keep people to say, gee, what should I do? So Microsoft will be sending those pop-ups out to Windows 7 users. Now, when is late 2019? I don't know. Maybe October, November, December? I don't know. They're not saying what date they're going to start that.
No, that's their marketing process too. Get people to switch. And as I understand it, I think Huey's discussed this before too, you can still put a Windows 10 upgrade on your computer without buying it. There are ways to download the DVD image, the ISO, and run it and get it installed. And if you have a valid license for your current version of Windows, it's supposed to take that and you just go online and register the copy, I believe. I don't know if you can do it from scratch on a bare hard drive or anything.
Yeah, the possibility of taking a Windows 7 computer that you're running now and upgrading it to Windows 10 so you don't have to buy a new computer, the biggest limitation is hardware. Will the hardware in a Windows 7 computer support all of the software that's available in Windows 10? And that depends on what the computer is.
Yeah. Well, I think I said it in what we were playing with. I had an Acer Ultrabook, which I guess is 10 years old now.
Okay.
And along the way, I went from 7, and then I went to 8, and then I went to 10, and I went to Linux, and then I went to a Chrome image, and I played around with other things on it. And when I was having some problems with the cameras using my old Chromebook, I said, okay, I'm going to put the latest version of 10 on it and play with it. And being as old as it was, I wasn't sure if the hardware would support it, but it did support it. Ran a little bit slower, but it supported it.
Sure. I just bought a brand new computer. I have my 17-inch Dell i7, and I love it, but it's 5 years old. So I just bought a new computer. And why? Because all of this stuff that is being made by these companies, be it Dell, or whoever, the shelf life of these things is somewhere between 3 and 5 years. And after that, they don't want to talk to you anymore. Buy a new device. They don't want to talk to you about your 5-year-old or 6-year-old or 7-year-old device. Buy a new one. Cell phones, any digital device, that's the cycle. If they sell you one and it's good for 15 years, they're not making money.
That's true.
They want it to be, they want you to replace it. And I do. I don't have a problem.
And just think of all the people that Microsoft has working for them at the moment.
Yeah.
And what else are they doing except building the operating system for the next greatest version?
Right.
Okay, well, I think we've sort of run through it. Any last words?
I'm sorry?
You get the last word.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks all online. Pleasure to have you with us. And for those in the room, this is our first attempt at streaming the main meeting on the Sunday meeting. So we'll see if we continue that, and we'll look forward to comments from the people who've been online. But I think at this point we'll do our drawings and close down the streaming. And thank you all.
Sorry, we don't have virtual drawing tickets. Thanks, guys. Thanks for supporting us.